Let me give you an analogy, and this is where it gets to my second point about infrastructure. High-speed, ultra-high-speed broadband setup is like looking at roadways, bridges, seaports, and airports. And I'll use the airport analogy since you and I are both aviation buffs, but you build one airport and you allow multiple carriers to come there and do business. And you really don't care who those carriers are. Different ones offer different kinds of planes, different services to different cities, different prices. That's all up to them. But there's only one airport. The analogy today would be with people laying their own fiber in the same trenches on the same road. It's like having multiple airports right next to each other and having only one airline fly out of that one airport. Doesn't make any sense. We really have to start treating ultra-high-speed broadband infrastructure a lot more like we treat these common use things like a road, like bridges, like seaports and airports, where don't we want to consider putting that in and then sharing it with people that provide the services. Now that doesn't mean the government has to do it alone. Public-private partnerships can be provided because these private enterprises, both the users and the providers, want to have this, and they're paying big money to have it done today, like Thomson Reuters does. We pay private providers a lot of money for our bandwidth for our corporation.
It would be more economical in the long run, although you have this corporate mentality of competition. But if you could get through that with what you're trying to do,
right,
you could convince these people, well, it's the same for everybody, and you can still do your own thing, but we're cutting down on the tremendous cost that you would have.
That's exactly it. I mean, you know, if your company is interested in laying fiber, then you want to compete for that part. But if you're into delivering services down the fiber, ultimately, then you want to make your competitive difference in that. You want to have the fiber be there, and you can send down the pipe whatever those things are. And I think it sort of reframes their thinking. Back in the older days, they provided both. People have to think about what it means to provide one of those or the other one of those. And frankly, if I was in the business, I'd be much more interested in the content side of it. That's where the money is. That's where the ongoing money and services are. That's where you can send phone lines and on-demand video, the TV services, internet services. This is where we can start providing advanced services like some of these companies do, like virtual radiology, the company in Minnetonka that basically reads MRIs and X-rays for states all over the country.
And how do they get transmitted to that company?
They get transmitted over the internet. And that company has bought commercially the services it needs on its end, but the sending organizations in different states don't always have the right bandwidth. They may have to go someplace to secure higher quality bandwidth to send these very, very, very big files. MRI file of somebody, maybe their head, is going to be really big. An ultrasound, for example, of somebody, perhaps a woman in a pregnancy that's complicated, and having that go live so a doctor in a remote location can have an assistant at the Mayo Clinic to give them the specialty they need. This takes a tremendous amount of bandwidth to show that, but it's much better than 3 pictures sent from an ultrasound done by a doctor outstate who is not a specialist, and having that specialist look at it and go, gee, if you only turn the person 20 degrees to the right and took another picture, I'd really be happy. We need to make that interactive. So bandwidth at high levels will permit different kinds of content that could be done by these providers. But you just have to give up the fact that the money isn't really in the infrastructure.
Now, you just had a first meeting. The legislation just passed at the end of the session, which was May, and you just had a first meeting of your task force. What happened to that meeting? What was the attitude of the participants, and where does it go from here?
Well, I'll tell you that people from all of those diverse areas I mentioned early in the show are really excited about being on this. We met from 9 to 3. That's our regular meeting time. One Friday a month, and we'll probably schedule a few more meetings. People got a chance to express what view they brought to the table, what they were interested in, their goals and aspirations, what they wanted a final outcome to look like. that's all a preparatory exercise that's pretty typical of a first meeting. Our next meeting in September will tackle some pretty strong issues going forward. We'll lay down the agenda for the rest of the year. This group, no matter where they come from, no matter what they represent, they're all interested in getting an actionable report to the governor and the legislative leaders so that the state can choose to do something if they want to.
And bringing corporations in, has that been a successful endeavor so far, getting them to change their mentality so that they can participate together?
Well, you know, I think it's not just corporations. Some people are there representing corporations, but for example, I'm there as a metro business person, so that would be the people that I would represent. But we have people that represent rural health care and metro libraries and counties, either metro or rural. So their job is to be a delegate for the people that they represent and get the right views from those people and then bring them to our task force so that we can put all these together. I'm quite certain that we will end up with a really robust goal for the state. I'm not sure what that will be because it will be a hard-fought goal to get to. But everybody wants to do something, so we'll have something. We just got to figure out what the best thing to do and then how to recommend it be funded. What kind of partnerships can be put together? Because we all know money isn't flying off trees here in our state, and we're going to embark on some difficult economic times, and they'll probably continue. So we need to look at models that help fund this, that don't impact the state's general funds.
So that's what you were alluding to when you said public-private partnerships, which is a relatively new concept. And I guess I should mention right now that Eagan TV and Thomson Reuters is embarking on just such a partnership when this facility moves to the Thomson Reuters building, where construction, I guess, is soon to be underway to construct a TV station within Thomson Reuters that'll benefit Thomson Reuters and Eagan TV. So, well, if you can do that on a small level, I guess that's something you really can look to on a really grand scale.
Well, that's exactly it, Alan. So if we need a TV studio and you need a TV studio at ETV, why can't we use the same one? We're not going to use it 24 hours a day each, 7 days a week. And that's exactly the kind of partnership on a bigger scale that we need with this. So we need different people to say, I'm spending this much on these types of services now, and if I take less than that amount and probably put it into some kind of partnership, I may very well get more than I used to get out of that for less money. But you have to have some vision about how that partnership could be constructed, have some rules about how it goes, and our partnership between Thomson Reuters and ETV is two groups fundamentally, so it's a little bit easier than having, I think we have 26 members, including 3 of the commissioners that are direct reports to the governor. So we've got a lot of different views, but our goal has got to be to bring that together.
And to bring that together with the long-range view down the road. This is not something that's going to happen this year or next year. I mean, the bill was a vision, the task force is a vision, but the ultimate end of the road is more than a vision. It's the creation of a whole new concept in communications to benefit an entire state.
That's true. That's actually it. And we have to, if you've ever gone with the terminology about, you know, you always shoot past the puck ahead of where the skater's skating because you want to be able to catch it in full stride. We've got to pass way ahead of the skater because what we lay in here has to last for a long time for the state. It has to be something that can be upgraded with modest cost and kept up. So we've got to make sure that it's state of the art.